way that
there is a irreconcilable difference. That is why Mr. Trump doesn't get any success, really, because the Russians, I mean, they repeat ad nauseam. And it's in the latest statement of Vladimir Putin yesterday, after the talk with Mr. Trump, that, yeah, it's fine, but until the root causes are removed, special military operation continues. Simple as that. What are the root causes? Root causes are described with some adjustments after the December 2021 granted for the adjustment for the realities on the ground, the tactical and operational ones, is that, yeah, there is a NATO expansion. There are all kinds of nasty things which are done to Russia, including sanctions. Russians have no illusions whatsoever. Literally, I mean, hour before his talk to Trump yesterday, Mr. Putin was speaking to the Russian Union of the Industrialists and Entrepreneurs, and he told them, I quote, don't hope that any sanctions will ever be lifted. We will continue to live under sanctions non-stop. So there you go. So it is all diplomatic game Russians play, which is good. I mean, make no mistake, it's better to talk than to fight. But it's all about Trump's show. You know, he needs to save face now. He made this war his war. And now, no matter what he tries, there's no ceasefire. Russians anticipated fully that Ukraine will break any kind of deals. They broke it today, attacking some, by the way, belonging to Chevron distribution station for the gas. I mean, they were able to hit one of the reservoirs, or, those things, where that's about it. And so even that thing, which was essentially pretty symbolic, is gone now. So the special military operation continues and will continue until all objectives are met. And objectives are those, elimination of those root causes.
Or nuances that.
Yeah. I mean, let's not go in that anecdote. It's all Russians recognized immediately. They were laughing all over the place, when he said, but there is a nuance. And it's let's not go there.
Andrei, by the way, when Donald Trump, the way that he's trying to talk, at least as you mentioned, to talk with Vladimir Putin, what is the main problem on the part of the United States that they cannot go and find a substantial solution for the conflict? What is the main barrier in the whole thing that is happening on the part of the United States? Is that about Europe? Is that about European countries? Is that about the establishment in the United States? Who's the main problem in this sort of talks that Donald Trump is trying to implement?
The way United States exists today, it's an existential enemy of Russia. Simple as that. So all those things which on the Trump's side, all those moves, we're not talking about in relation to Europe. In relation to Europe, it's sheer accounting, pure accounting and bookkeeping, if you wish. Trump being, for some reason, he thinks himself as a genius in terms of getting deals. But in terms of Russia, it's very simple. And no matter what Trump does, he still remains the enemy of Russia. And Russian people, and it's strategically cannot be changed with the present day American establishment. So you have to have the new generation of the American politicians and maybe the statesmen which will emerge from this generation, which will understand essentially the utility of that, and in fact the very dangerous situation. But Trump, being a showman, he thinks that there's some cosmetic measures, like putting the lipstick on the pig somehow are going to change the dynamics. Well, they change dynamics in the sense that, it's good to talk, make no mistake. I am all for it, and diplomacy has to return. But no, Russia will be absolutely under sanctions. Nothing will be restored of substance. And his task now is to save the face somehow. but he could have done it like 3 weeks ago by saying it's it's Biden's war, and that's it. Well, he didn't do it. He talks a lot about it, but he continues basically, the Biden policy, just with a little bit of, tweaking it here and there, trying to continue on the same path, essentially. So, yeah, good luck, as I already stated.
Do we know what were the main issues that they have been discussing during the phone call?
We can only speculate. Obviously, there are printouts, there are narrations essentially on both sides. What have been discussed? Well, the question is not what have been discussed. The question is how Trump tries to save his face now. He needs to save his face. Remember, he was running on this, if not for me, there would have been no war. Well, actually, it was on his watch when the arming and training of the armed forces of Ukraine started in earnest. I mean, it became, an industry. And it was also, his ideas about that you can pressure Russia, while obviously talking all this fluffy rhetoric about, let's get along with Russians. No, he wanted to get along only on his conditions. Doesn't work like this with Russia. And so he promised what? Remember? Well, I will stop the war in 24 hours, then we'll stop the war in 100 days. People are asking, inevitable and totally legitimate questions. And how is this 24 hours going? How about now those, weeks? So, which are already months, right? He was what? Today is the 20th. Oh, yeah, it's 2 months now since he took the office, all right? So what? What's next? Half a year? Sure, Russians will gladly oblige. But the outcome inevitably is the same as it was from the get-go. The total military and geopolitical defeat of the United States, because it was the United States which was the main driver behind their essentially starting the whole mess in 2013 with the Maidan coup and bringing to power all those Nazis. So there you go. And nothing changed, really. It is all about, it's like, let me put it this way. It is akin to doctors in the, room with the patient who has the 4th-stage cancer, but cut his finger, and they are discussing what color of the Band-Aid they have to put on it, This is pretty much the same thing. It's just all those PR, outwardly appearances, which still important, make no mistake. As I already stated, I'm not against that. But the nature of the conflict, it never changed. So the United States will continue to military support and, provide ISR to armed forces of Ukraine. One of the key points, which Vladimir Putin stated straight to, not to face, maybe they were communicating over the video link, that how about you stop the all aid to Ukraine? No, United States is not going to do it.
Yeah, if I were Russian, I would say, so if you want a ceasefire, what are you providing Ukraine with intelligence, as you mentioned right now?
Not only intelligence, they continue to send under all different pretexts, all kinds of things.
Andrei, what is with the nuclear power plant? Because Donald Trump said he's going to talk about nuclear power plant with Vladimir Putin, and he's talking about Zaporizhia nuclear power plant.
Yeah, he can talk whatever he wants, but Ukraine will do whatever she wants, and so now you have to only hope for the Russian air defense, which intercepts most of what is flies there, so, but no, Ukraine and Zelensky, especially, cornered rat is always dangerous, they will be ready to go to any lengths. So yeah, just blow up kindergarten, blow up the nuclear power station, so it's total, general routine for especially combined West as of lately, which was doing false flags. And you saw yourself, for example, yesterday they were trying to break into the Belgorod Oblast. They were obviously repelled with the devastating consequences for them. You can see the videos of them. It's just, oh my God. So, yeah, but that's what they do. And what can I say? This is a neo-Nazi regime. I mean, they have this Jewish boy, as a front, but reality is nobody now even knows now how the regime is being run. We know that there are SAS and MI6 people around him, around Zelensky 24/7. I don't know if that probably some CIA presence. These are the guys. They are incompetent militarily, and so they continue to do what they do always. False flags. Political moves. In terms of killing more of Ukrainian cannon fodder, and there you go. It's West. It's combined West against Russia. Ukraine itself is a virtual state, and it only exists because of the support from the combined West.
Can we assume it as what it was in Donald Trump's first term? And he was distracted. He was just, he couldn't do what he wanted to do with Russia because of Russiagate. And right now, the new Russiagate is the war in Ukraine. They're doing everything, it seems, that not only the European countries, but also the establishment in the United States, doing everything to sabotage what's going on. At least we know that there is this sort of desire on the part of Trump. But how capable is he? And how is he going to be distracted by the way that Ukrainians are behaving? Who's behind that? It seems to me a much more complex, much more complicated the situation, because who knows who's behind Zelensky? Who's Zelensky? He's not deciding about anything in Ukraine. Who's running the show in Ukraine? It's not Donald Trump. We know that.
London primarily. Donald Trump. It's actually, yeah, I agree with you that the dynamics obviously is more complicated than our Manichaean, so to speak, good versus evil or black and white, representation of the picture. Well, the point is that there is a United Kingdom, which is this Chihuahua, which pretends that it is a bulldog or Rottweiler, which it is not even close. But they have this, obsessive, compulsive disorder that they are still great power, which they are not. They're pathetic, actually. So we have now this European dynamics between Trump and all. But do not forget, all those excuses about Trump not being able to do something in the first term and Russiagate and everything. Well, first, you know what? He could have done things better already within his first term. He never tried. Okay, he was intimidated. Now, obviously, yeah, he gets better things done on the, domestically, especially with some critical appointments such as Kash Patel or Tulsi Gabbard. But the point is, he remains a narcissist, flaming narcissist. He remains American exceptionalist, and as a result, he pretends that he wants to get along with Russia, but in reality, he views Russia as the enemy. He views Russia as merely a pawn in his plan, as much as the childish and kindergarten level that plan is. He still thinks that he is a great strategist. He had his ego blown up to the incredible proportions, especially by the virtue of winning the second term and getting there essentially what is the mandate, because he got the popular vote. But I mean, it's same old, as I already stated, with some differences compared to the first term. But in reality is, as I already stated, you could see his arrogance and hubris when he was saying that, oh yeah, we're going to stop it in 24 hours. Did he stop it? No. Did he deliver it? No, of course not. He can't. And then now, I think, once Tulsi was appointed, and she made a lot of important statements, about what was going on in terms of intel. And he gets to see the real intel, the things which are obviously classified. And for the United States intel, what is classified is how badly it's losing. That's what they were classifying. So have you heard him now talking about those millions of Russians being killed? He was given the real numbers. He was given real kill ratios. He was given the real industrial and economic output there. And now when he look at this and like, good Lord, I'm not even the big figure, so to speak, on this chessboard, and he knows this. He had this moment of clarity, when he stated Putin has all cards on his hands. Trump and the United States have none. There's nothing which they can play.
Do you think that? Do you see the role of military-industrial complex? They cannot afford losing Ukraine, and the way that they're gaining from Ukraine.
Well, I mean, definitely somebody is making money on that, no doubt about it. And you cannot discount the influence of the military-industrial complex. Absolutely, nobody argues with that. They have pretty much the whole Congress, U.S. Congress, in their pockets, apart from the ethnic lobbies, such as the Israeli lobby and other lobbies. What can I say? I mean, nothing could be done about it, with the exception of the cosmetic measures, which is still better. You don't want to look at this ugly mug of what is happening. But he's not able to stop it. They love to talk and brag about it. But as I already stated, the revelation came yesterday when Vladimir Putin stated very clearly, guys, there will be no lifting of sanctions. We're going to be constantly hammered with that. So sure, let's continue to do what we are doing. And Russia continues to, and it actually accelerates with each day, the issue of the import substitution and developing all industrial base. And because there's no hope. I mean, not hope. I mean, you don't do hope in the geopolitics, but you know what? You prepare for the worst and hope for the best. That's it. But I know that Kremlin understands what and who they are dealing with.
When it comes to the Middle East, we know that the Israeli lobby, what's the role of the Israeli lobby? It's so confusing when it comes to Russia. What do they have with Russia? Why are they against Russia? What's the biggest problem on their part, in your opinion?
Well, Israeli lobby, especially those people who came from what is today Moldova, where the main pogroms have been happening, which they did happen, nobody argues with that. So they carry on with this, visceral hatred. And plus, many of those people who came and their offspring, which of course all went into those, Ivy League schools, into those soft degrees in history, political science, which is not science, all this BS essentially. So they who constitute now a lot of the so-called intellectual, quote unquote, pseudo intellectual. They don't have real intellect, geopolitical, intellectual, force in the United States. They are there to settle the scores. That's it. I mean, nothing you can do about it. It comes naturally for them, visceral hatred of Russians. So to the genocidal level, we look at Victoria Nuland and the Kagan clan, who run all these, ridiculous things like Institute for the Study of War, which is like the stupidest organization, most ignorant people militarily. So, and yeah, that's what they do. They write history. They continue to press their governments, and they entrench in Washington and in the American foreign policy establishment, and nothing could be done about it. And Trump is himself, he's a Zionist, so there you go. He is he's Zionist by nature. He is proud of it, actually. So, and it's just the nuances, if you wish, where they may differ on any, let's say, Middle Eastern issue or Russian, but that's what United States is today, and nothing could be done about it, at least for a while.
Andrei, you mentioned Tulsi Gabbard. Do you think that the information is getting to Donald Trump? The reality of the battleground is getting to him?
Yeah, I think so now it is. Again,
so what is he trying to save in Ukraine? What is he trying to save in Ukraine?
He is trying to save anything which later could be used as the ram, as the Platzdarm, what is called a bridgehead or stronghold against Russia. But it doesn't mean that obviously whatever will be saved from, if it will be saved from Ukraine, there will be very few people living there. I mean, 7-8 millions is not enough for you to recruit any serious military force, as it was the case what they did in 2013 when it all started. It started actually earlier than that, when Ukraine still had about 50 million population, which it doesn't today. And but they think somehow, because this is how they think, they do not understand continental military affairs, none of them practically, so they do not understand what modern warfare is. And because of that, they continue to operate within this 19th century outdated, completely obsolete paradigm. Russians worry about it not only because obviously their terrorism and attacks against their border areas may continue if it happens. It's just because the fact that something happens and Russians will respond in such a way that the only thing United States has at its disposal is to immediately escalate to the nuclear threshold. The problem with the United States, not to speak of Europe, is not the strengths. It's the weakness. This is the thing which I'm preaching for 10 years. This is why it's dangerous. If it would have been strong country and, country which understands its purpose and, so to speak, in existence, that would have been easier to talk to people. They would be more rational. But here we have this, combination of, look attentively at the last, from 2008, look at the administrations. All kinds of narcissist people who are completely detached from the reality, from Obama to Biden to Trump and they live in this world, in this paradigm, which they think that somehow if you expand somewhere in the 21st century, it makes you stronger. Actually, it makes you weaker. It's like, United States used to have those two oceans, which were the great barriers, Today, oceans are just merely nice means of delivery of the both strategic and operational means to the United States proper. Things changed, and they never caught up because most of them are humanities, educated lawyers, and they just don't understand those things.
France is talking about building nukes, and Andrei, when I heard first time, I used to say, why are they trying to do this? If we assume that Donald Trump is putting pressure on Europeans to increase their defense budget, and this increase in the defense budget, where does it go? It goes to the United States. But if France tries to make nuclear bombs, they need this money to because they're so expensive. It's not just simple and building them. Maybe they're trying to play with this game with the United States to put pressure on Donald Trump.
Well, yes, possibly. Macron is not a very bright fellow, apart from his preferences in other sectors, so to speak, of his personal life. But the point is that the guy is nothing more than the bank teller boy on the service, or errand boy for Rothschilds. He knows nothing about the real, statesmanship or how to run the country, especially such country which is disintegrating economically and, morally. France is a good lord. I mean, it's pathetic, really. So, and he can say whatever he wants. France doesn't have industrial wherewithal to do what Macron declares. And while they certainly can provide for themselves somewhat, they have their own indigenous nuclear deterrent, and they can produce, some dozens, Rafales, over some period of time. They militarily, especially in conventional military sense, they're chihuahuas. They're nothing really. And no matter how they try, nothing gonna happen. And Trump's, demand for them to spend more money, obviously, tongue-in-cheek also demand for them to spend more money on what United States will be providing. Okay, simple as that. It doesn't matter that F-35 is a butt of the jokes and it's a catastrophe, technological and financial catastrophe. but they still push them. They shove this aircraft to down the throats of Netherlands. Germany will be buying it, and so on. Italy, and what can I say? France is really jealous about grossly exaggerated and grossly deluded idea that they somehow matter in the modern days. They don't, as doesn't Europe. And this is what essentially they are afraid and panicked about, that, yeah, it's Putin and Trump discussing things, but I'm sorry, these are two superpowers. Europe is not superpower. And this is why I'm always laughing. Jeffrey Sachs comes out and says, oh, you have $20 trillion economies. No, they don't. So, and when you begin to explain to people what are the critical technologies and critical materials, so to speak, in industrial developments, the most of them, they are not even the player anymore, And I did the video yesterday about this. This is why they can do. They don't even have their own ISR, space-based ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. They don't have their own early warning system. Only the United States does. SBIRS, So, and when you look at this, oh yeah, we're gonna launch. They already launched the third Intel satellite through the Ariane 6 on March 6th, I believe. 3 recon satellites, really, dudes? Did you compare the satellite constellations of Russia, let alone United States, which has the largest and most comprehensive, early warning system and satellite constellation out there? They will not be able to build their space-based early warning system or anti-ballistic missile system. It's look at their capabilities, look at their technologies. They are pathetic. And then you go and across the board and you look, even France, just to give you an example, guess what they use? They use, US-built Boeing 707 remotored with the new engines, which are called E3 Century, AWACS. It's American radar, it's American signal processing, American communications. Even France must use it, let alone the rest of them. And when you begin to look at this, it's all about the United States selling their expensive, highly ineffective military toys, but at the expense of the military industrial complex of Europe. So simple as that.
Andrei, when we've learned that Elon Musk is just bringing the American people from the space, bringing them back to the United States, the question is, why does the U.S. government they're not capable of bringing their people back? Why do they need Elon Musk to do that? What is the problem with the United States government and the defense, the Pentagon, and NASA, if we can put it that way?
Well, let's not beat around the bush. SpaceX and Musk is the government avatar. His SpaceX is staffed with the NASA engineers and those. And he gets this is all the game of getting the government contract. Simple as that. So whenever people say that, oh yeah, somehow this shyster actually, he doesn't even have the actual engineering degree. If anybody wonders, there are a lot of issues with Musk. So, and the fact that the guy got, he settled, himself on the government contracts, that's pretty much the extent of his talent. If you take a look at the Tesla realistically is a disaster. It's thank God to Musk that for him that there is a lot of dimwits among this primarily liberal public which buy this virtue signaling car. But the reality is SpaceX is not per se Musk's program. It is just another, so to speak, offspring which sits on the government contracts. Well, you think so? What he gets his own money into this? Just look at the history. And in this case, the fact that they haven't been able to bring it back, it's mostly Boeing's embarrassment, because obviously they were gotten there by Boeing capsule, and then of course it was deemed unsafe. And so poor poor people, especially women. She, oh my God, I really empathize with her because she probably will have the issues, health-related issues for a while now, until she gets back, adapted to the Earth gravity, and if she will be able to restore the bone density, which she lost obviously over 9 months. So I mean, it's really terrifying. Can you imagine this? Going there for 8 days, and then week after week, knowing that nothing is happening, you cannot be brought back. So, and yeah, the fact that he SpaceX got them back, it's good. It's, I applaud them for that. But other than that, I mean, it's let's not play with this. It's a good idea to have private sector realistically developing technologies, but there is has to be very serious understanding that space exploration, a real space exploration, such as Musk claims about going to Mars, really, dude, I mean, you don't even know what you're talking about, so here, and going to Mars, building bases in, on the moon and things like this, they require an enormous effort and actually, government expense and investment, with all those private contractors probably being aggregated around those type of the programs. But in the end, you need to have basically tax base of government to even finance this type of the projects. But again, the Musk is primarily for these kids, the generation, whatever, who believe in, that you can write the code and iPhones themselves, appear out of the thin air, and that they think that he will get to Mars by 2030 or whatever he said. No, he's not getting there. And you will need a completely different technologies for that, based on the nuclear propulsion, and this is not SpaceX, believe me.
Andrei, to understand the importance of the United States in the conflict in Ukraine, if we assume Donald Trump tomorrow decides to put an end to the aid to Ukraine, what is the importance of European countries in providing Ukraine with ammunition, I don't know, with money, whatever is that? Are they important in the equation in Ukraine?
Not really. I mean, they can provide some help. They can print some money. They can borrow money, like some of them doing. Yeah, they can give them money. The problem is, what are you going to buy from them? So how many tanks they can send? I can tell you that France has about 200 operational Leclercs. It's about the size of Russian motor rifle division. Okay, so Bundeswehr is altogether, it's just a joke. Same goes for British. Their army is a joke. I mean, they're literally. So Italians, so yeah, French might still provide some Caesar, whatever the name of it, the self-propelled guns and those AMX wheeled tanks. They're not going to live very long, as experience shows us, on the modern battlefield. So what else? Well, why don't Macron send a couple of Rafales and see what's going to happen?
Andrei, we were so happy that Donald Trump, before coming to office on January 20th, put an end to the conflict between Israel and Palestinians.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it seems that he's just getting back to the old policies of the Biden administration. When it comes to the fight between the United States and Yemenis, what do they have? What do they have to offer, which would be different from what we've seen so far from the fight that has been going on for many years between the United States, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain on one part, and Houthis and Yemenis on the other part? What is new that he feels that this time he's going to defeat Yemenis?
I don't know. He is certainly not a very bright militarily. And whoever advises him from Pentagon, well, they can bomb Yemen. The final point, so to speak, of all that is Iran, obviously. United States itches for Iran because considering the number of the Christian Zionists or Israeli firsters in the legislature, in the U.S. Congress, it's essentially subverted by the Israeli lobby. So, and yeah, some of them are, many of them are just cowards who just go with the flow because they are easily intimidated and blackmailed. Others are just, general articles. They believe all this crap, So, what can I say? They want Iran, and but the problem for them is, U.S. Army cannot fight Iran on the ground, let alone Israel is just not there. I mean, they don't have capability. So, but Israel presses, they push all buttons to somehow unleash the war with Iran. And don't forget, Donald Trump and Miriam Adelson, they're close friends. And Miriam Adelson, she financed his campaign. And remember her hubby, who said, oh, why don't we drop the nuclear bomb on Iran? But for now, somewhere in the desert, not to harm anybody. And then, so yeah, that's the type of people. So, and what can I say? I mean, nothing could be changed. It will continue like this.
Do you think that Donald Trump would risk a war with Iran in the Middle East? Here is what, let me show what he posted in 2019. He says that the United States has spent $8 trillion fighting and policing in the Middle East. Thousands of our great soldiers have died and been badly wounded. Millions of people have died on the other side. Going into the Middle East is the worst decision ever made. Where is that Donald Trump right now? Is he just changing the same way that he was talking about the conflict in Ukraine?
Yeah, it's. I don't think he has any guiding principles per se. He is obviously being, let's call it what it is, real estate shyster from New York. A lot of, so to speak, things from this type of business rubbed off him. And people who said that he has some kind of principles or he knows how to do the deals. No, he knows only expediency. He knows expediency when he sees it, when it fits him. So there you go. When it was necessary to say about, things about Middle East in 2019, he said it. Now he says totally different things. And where's the real Mr. Trump? Well, his daughter Ivanka is married to Mr. Kushner, who many people suspect is the Mossad asset directly. His family is directly involved with their Zionism. So he probably is a genuine article, Christian Zionist, and he doesn't seem to be bothered with this, So, and no matter how he tries to maneuver, let's put it this way. He is no Vladimir Putin, and he doesn't have the, for example, infrastructure which Putin had, which is, of course, was the, overwhelmingly Russian, leaning Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, even Soviet patriots of the what is called power bloc, Siloviki, which of course have been, FSB, SVR, and Ministry of Defense. Trump doesn't have it. And he can maneuver whatever he wants, but in the end, there is a logic of the circumstances. And the logic of circumstances is that US Congress is in the pocket of the Israeli lobby. And when you look attentively, no matter who you go, or pick from the US Congress or elsewhere, what you have somebody who is financed by the Israeli lobby or is blackmailed by the media, which belong to some people who are Israeli firsters. And yeah, it's a known problem. And John Mearsheimer wrote this book, so Israeli lobby in 2017. So yeah, it's pretty much describes the problem, and I applaud him for that, But other than that, it is what it is. Nothing you can do about it.
Andrei, if Donald Trump, which was so much against the policy in Ukraine is not capable of bringing an end to the conflict or even improving the relationship between the United States and Russia, who can do that? Is there any sort of hope in the United States in terms of Republican, Democrats? I don't see any third party coming along and being part of the US presidential election. So we have two options, the Democrats or Republicans. And Donald Trump is somehow outsider, is not that much attached to Republicans. But how, if not Donald Trump, who's able to do that? It's a recipe for endless disaster if they go in that direction.
Well, it's going to be disaster for the United States primarily, and it's already in the very precarious position, and it's not enough to repeat constantly. United States is being basically pressed down by this unsustainable national debt. And, well, evidently, Mr. Trump suddenly recognized that you cannot continue with sanctions because it kills the dollar. Well, yeah, you can declare whatever you want. Where is the money, so to speak? What is the practice of this? And so he's learning now, obviously getting also better intel and advice that, for example, Russians don't need SWIFT. They don't need to be plugged into SWIFT, for example, this interbanking system of the messaging. So it's difficult to say. He is not getting any younger. I don't think so. I don't think he is that bright, so to speak, on his faculties. He is definitely not an idiot, no doubt about it. He is shrewd guy. I mean, but in terms of who can do something about it, there is essentially a little bit of this kind of segment of the Republican Party. They call them Trumpists, but when you look attentively at Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example, who even yesterday she raised her voice after Israel started to bomb Hamas. She had enough guts to say, we are here for peace. That's not peace, At least she had enough guts to say that and not support this, obviously. So yeah, there should be some new generation, and which will produce not politician but the statesman, statesman who understands and takes the U.S. Interest to the heart, not in terms of renaming, the Gulf of Mexico into a Gulf of America, or saying that, oh yeah, we're going to take the Panama Canal, or make the buy Greenland, or what have you. These are ridiculous statements, but still, make Canada 51st state. But who understands the interest of the United States as being one of the top dogs, one of, not the best among equals or something like that, but one of the top dogs in the international relations and emerging, which is already emerged, multipolar world, where they can actually get more done and prosper by cooperating with people and not behaving like, honestly, after he started with this, Canada 51st state and things like that. Okay. And Greenland, I can understand, sort of, I can understand Greenland, so to speak, aspirations. And who knows, it may yet come to fruition. That's when he will check this, box to say, oh yeah, one of the greatest accomplishments in the American history. And it might well will be, but in reality is that if he wants to do business with Russia, which is one of the venues on which the United States can prosper, essentially, by removing Europe, for example, but getting, American organizations, for example, like Halliburton, Chevron, they want to have the access to Russian, enormous resources. He now declared 48 icebreakers he wants to build by whatever. Russians, of course, laughed, so no, United States can still build some icebreakers, but the gap in technology between Russia nuclear icebreaker fleet, not one, many, and United States at this stage is just pretty much, it's very difficult to close it. and I believe he's probably getting the knowledge of it, how difficult it is all. So, but yeah, having some access to Russian resources, absolutely, he may try, But then again, Russians will ask favors, and can he deliver? I don't think so.
I think what's so amazing that the whole process, in terms of you consider the conflict in Ukraine, in the Middle East, with Taiwan, the whole situation is letting Europe and just accelerating in the process of bankrupting in Europe.
Yeah.
And they're going to go bankrupt, but the difference that I see between the Biden administration and the Trump administration, the Biden administration, I'm by your side, I'm holding your hand.
Yeah.
But the Trump administration said, you're going bankrupt, I'm not helping you. And you have to, but at the end of the day, the reality doesn't change. It doesn't matter if the Biden administration or the Trump administration, we have the same sort of reality in Europe. And these three countries are destroying the whole Europe, in my opinion. France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. They're just influencing each and everybody's life in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, Europe is done. First, it's not a subject of international relations anymore. It hasn't been for a while. It's object. It will do either as told, or, you know what, I repeat it constantly, including on your podcast all the time. United States wants to eat too, So when United States decides between itself and Europe, obviously it's Europe which is going to be eaten. And it's being eaten as we speak. Many people are not happy, but just recently, like a week ago, Siemens laid off another 6,000 people. Audi is laying off another 6,000 by the 2028, I believe. So yeah, the things are happening, not in a good way. When you look at United Kingdom today, it's becoming the third world country, like literally third world. People go into this London, touristy, places, but then they get out on the suburbs, and it's just like, and I'm talking about not wealthy supers. I'm talking about, my God, it is the third world. It's slightly better than some, favelas in Brazil or something like that. It's just unbelievable, dirty. I mean, incredible. And yeah, that's the Europe. This is where it's returning back to, and they had it. They had a good run. They lived well for a while. Time to pay the bills, So.
And here is the reality here in Brazil, Andrei. I don't know about the United States, but here in Brazil, the European car industry is losing drastically to the Chinese. And I would say that in the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to totally dominate the market in Brazil. And nobody is capable of fighting them, competing with them.
Well, I can tell you one thing. If you go and take the October 2024, I mean, less than half a year issue of the most reputable and respected magazine on the cars, Car and Driver. It's a very famous magazine in the United States. And Americans obviously know their cars, believe me. They know it's probably better than Europeans. When you look at the top 25 bestsellers in the United States, there's not a single German or any other European car in there. All of it is Nissan, Toyota, Subaru, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, just all kind. So you look at this like, GMC and things like that. Not a single European car. They are not competitive on this market anymore. Nobody wants to buy this over-engineered or price crap, from Mercedes or, just because, BMW, I drive BMW. None of them was the money they're selling for. If they break, it's over, man. You're going to be set back. It's just like, German engineering nowadays, unlike it was the case 30 years ago, it is like a joke. Oh yeah, it's German engineered. So that means what? Over-engineered, overpriced, unreliable, and done strictly for the reasons of, I mean, for some people is the reason of prestige, But the point is, yeah, Chinese are getting out their guns blazing, and I don't like their cars. I mean, I saw them, I drove a number of them in Moscow, for example. But I mean, if it brings any kind of fruit, bears any kind of fruit, this Putin and Trump, negotiations, then yeah, looks like Ford would love to come back. And Russians loved Ford at some point of time until 2012 and 13, when Ford Focus started to lose out to brands like obviously Hyundai and Kia and things of this nature, this type of cars, and then even Lada when the Vesta came out. I mean, between Ford Focus and Lada Vesta, I would choose Lada Vesta. So, but the point is that it's all coming back. Now they have this South Korean brands, knocking back the Russian market. So in this case, Chinese will have difficult time standing up to them. They kind of picked up the part of the market while the sanctions have been enforced. So who knows now? And in this case, yeah, you look at this, Europe, yeah, they can have whatever they want. They simply do not have competitive products anymore, with the exception, for example, of obviously Airbus. Airbus is extremely competitive. It's I love Airbus myself. I prefer to fly on Airbuses. I mean, especially internally in the United States, I would rather fly A321 than I would fly the Boeing 737. God forbid, we always ask, okay, what kind of aircraft are we taking? But yeah, long range, I love my 777s, Boeing 777s. But point is that what else? They can build some cruise liners in Saint Nazaire or in Finland. That's about it, So, and all these Siemens solutions and things of this nature, like Russians building their own, for example, today, high-power gas turbines and rolling state-of-the-art rolling stock, which used to be Siemens, not anymore. So it's, yeah, things are happening.
It seems that Russia is talking. Vladimir Putin was talking about new regulations on the companies that they want to get back to Russia in order to because last time they left Russia because of the sanctions, they somehow made some sort of problems for the internal market.
Yeah,
right now they're trying to put new regulations on them. If they
the main regulation, as he stated, I almost quote him: Europeans are not coming back. Those who left, that's over. It's taken over by Russians, and so Americans will be, as I already stated, no matter what we say, still you have to talk. Superpowers must talk to each other, and if something good comes out, of course, economically, I mean, so yeah, Ford maybe could be allowed to come back, plus, there are other venues. For example, you look attentively, Coca-Cola left. Well, not really. Coca-Cola never really left. They rebranded and they licensed out all the drinks. Then you have now, you go and like, Dobra Cola, whatever cola, in Russian markets, a lot of it is still Coca-Cola, just under different names. Because, well, Burger King, they say now it doesn't belong to the United States. Well, it's a United States brand. It's said we're not leaving. Just no matter what you do. KFC, guess what? Russians love them damn chicken, So, and KFC never left, So Americans in this respect have been kind of on the more pragmatic side. These were Europeans who said, screw you, we're out of here. Well, you're not coming back. Siemens is not coming back. They try to sell some solutions because Russians, obviously, until Russian industry completely satisfies the demand, there will be this tweaking process, for example, you still need more turbines than Russian industry produces now. In 3-4 years, it will be a completely different game. And they know it. So essentially, that is why those companies have been thrown out. And you look at this, and I don't know how Europeans are going to be coming back. I don't know. Except for, obviously, Ashan, which is French. Ashan is in Russia, and they were just entrenched there, saying, we're not leaving. It's sort of like Walmart, you know. Then, of course, you have the rest of them pretty much left. But Ashan, which is French, you know, chain, they just said, nothing you can do to make us leave, you know. So IKEA lost Russia forever. So it's pretty bad for Europeans there.
By the way, I remember you said Coca-Cola. I remember the situation in Iran after the revolution, 1979 in Iran. Coca-Cola left Iran, but right until now they're producing Coca-Cola better than what we have in Brazil.
Yeah. There are all kinds of ways for a real production and money, real capital. This is real capital. It's not financial speculative capital. It's the capital which is based on the productive forces which produce things which people need. Coca-Cola, as much as I don't drink any kind of soda, and we know how bad it is for you, but it is still, you know, popular drink. And so you produce some value for the society, people drink it, you know. So yeah, it's you can kind of bypass things. It's the same as Russians were getting things until they're completely, you know, closed, or so to speak, by Russian industry. They were getting parallel imports through the third countries, or they were looking at what they call the friendly countries like China. For example, when they needed to, before Russians started, the Russians are producing now their own 5-axis CNC, computer numerical control, including the core and including the control centers themselves. But when they needed to produce MS-21, I mean, during sanctions, in end of 2010s, like 2019, 2018, they bought some machining centers from China, for example. You know, so but Siemens, all those, big European names, it's over, guys. You wanted it, and nothing could be done about